Good morning, everyone. You know those days when you're like, it's been a morning? You explode a bag of Cheerios all over the kitchen. You get stuck on Bart. We've all done that. You're exhausted before you even get to work to start the day. I had a particularly memorable one of those a few years ago. I was in my first semester of college, and I had an exam first thing. I had to drop my daughter Casey at daycare before that. But when we got there, we found out another toddler had a fever. The rules required that every child take a COVID test, but the staff had run out. So I ran to Walgreens to buy one, waited the 10 minutes for Casey's results to come back negative, and sent her in so I could get to class. I sprinted across campus and slid into a seat by the door right on time, 8 a.m. on the dot. The test went well, but I could feel the professor glaring at me. So I emailed her later to apologize for arriving so last minute. She sent back multiple messages, one after the other, about how irresponsible I was, how we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? And how I was wasting my potential and making terrible life choices. No way, I thought. This isn't okay. It felt oddly personal because it was. It wasn't about punctuality. It was about her judgment of me as a mother who decided to pursue an education. I worried she would give me a bad grade. And if I was feeling this way, I couldn't imagine how much harder it must feel for single moms like my own, for women of color, or for those trying to claw their way up from circumstances significantly more difficult than my own. I remember my own childhood, how I watched my own mom, who's here today. Hey, Mom. How I watched my own mom toil and scrape to take classes at the nearby for-profit university, which was the only option we had. She worked really hard as a teacher's aide in the public schools, and we lived in Section 8 housing. We struggled, but we made it, despite faculty and others telling her that she absolutely did not belong in college as a single parent. Then, a few years after she graduated, the university lost its accreditation, and the degree that my mom worked so hard for became worth that much less. My high school didn't even have college counselors. Nobody else I knew went to college. So I started working full-time in restaurants at 16 and continued in the service industry full-time after graduating from high school. Life was actually pretty good. Then, in the wake of the pandemic, I was forced to stop working because we couldn't find an available or affordable childcare slot anywhere in San Francisco. But there was one option I found in all my Google searching: on-campus care at City College and San Francisco State. So I figured I would take advantage of those intense yet adaptable first few years of my daughter's life to get my degree. I got to San Francisco State just as AB 2881, a bill Ed Trust West fought for, went into effect. It was a godsend. It guaranteed me and other student parents priority registration so that we could get the classes we needed that aligned with our family's needs and schedule. And it required the school to create a website listing all of the resources available for student parents. The policy was a big win, and yet there were still huge barriers. Aside from the obvious major hurdles, like the cost of living and childcare, there were little obstacles everywhere. Professors with rigid attendance rules, evening office hours, and lack of understanding that, as a parent, many of those 24 hours simply don't belong to you. I met so many student parents with similar experiences that a classmate and I founded a student parent union on campus. Then, I launched a campaign for student government on the promise to develop a dedicated family-friendly space on campus. My first order of business after winning that election was to go to the administration and lay out my proposal. But when the dean said, "How many student parents could there possibly be on campus?" I began to see the problem a lot more clearly. Of course, none of the policies reflected our needs if no one even knew we were there. Data shows that 1 in 5 students enrolled in higher education nationally has at least one dependent child. That's 20%. The data also shows that student parents are more likely to drop out, despite the fact that they carry higher grade point averages overall. These are people who want to be in school and know exactly why getting a degree matters to them. And yet, too few of us are finishing. I kept requesting meetings and looking for allies. It was the outgoing student body president who saw my passion and nominated me to the advisory committee that Chris mentioned, the California Alliance for Student Parent Success, the research and advocacy network created by EdTrust West and California Competes. The Alliance equipped me to testify in front of state representatives. And I flew to DC to participate in a multi-day workshop, prototyping strategies to support student parents at the federal level. Just last year, we co-sponsored legislation requiring all California state universities and community colleges to track student parent enrollment and adjust their cost of attendance. Now this figure accounts for tuition, plus food, housing, childcare, and transportation. A change that will mean more accurate financial aid for up to 400,000 student parents across the state. This past May, I graduated from San Francisco State with a 4.0 GPA. My husband, mom, and daughter got to watch from box seats at Oracle Park as I walked across the field to receive my diploma. And I bought Casey her own little purple cap and gown to celebrate her preschool graduation alongside me. This fall, she started kindergarten at the Spanish immersion program at Monroe Elementary in the Excelsior, and she's thriving. And today, I work as an executive assistant to the CEO of a real estate investment firm in the financial district. And I love it. I love to be busy and solve problems and wear a million hats, but there's also this feeling that, like, I made it. I get to take the elevator to the top floor of my office building on Montgomery Street. I get to grab coffee on the way in and a warm pastry, or meet colleagues for lunch. I get to do bank runs as the sidewalk quite literally sparkles under my feet. I never thought I'd be here. It feels like I did it, like I made the jump, like I'm living my own and my mom's dream. I am the proof of the upward mobility that education affords, not just for me, but for my entire family. There are hundreds of thousands of people just like me across California, people who are driven and capable and ready to succeed. They just need colleges and universities to see them, to value them, and to lift up their potential. There's no way I would have graduated, let alone become the leader that I am today, without the policies, resources, and support of EdTrust West. There are mornings that are filled with chaos, and then there are mornings like today, here with all of you. Together, we're transforming higher education, the workforce, and the future of California. Thank you.